The Wanderers have returned. Tank,
The boys are together.
Yeah, the boys are back together. Tank has rode in like someone off Brokeback. I had images of like Brokeback Mountain. You riding in on your horse.
Saddle he was.
Boys, good to have you together, Tank. It's been a busy, eventful. Well, we'll start with the horses, and then you can talk about the problems that you had with the car. A good few days for you, mate. Yeah, you're up in Scotland.
Well, I went to Cheltenham Saturday. Which was a fucking great day, to be fair.
Thanks for that. Lost me money. Thanks for that.
Yeah, to be fair, fucking.
I watched it as well. I was like, this fucking horse is shit.
Fuck off. I've just turned an offer down from him to go to America as well.
No way. Is that what they do? Is that what they do with horses?
Well, see, the America don't normally they don't have jump racing, do they? Well, he didn't, but they're trying to get into it. Like, it's a big fucking thing. Obviously, the jump over here is massive.
Derbies, isn't it?
It's like the Kentucky Derby, and it's all flat
Derby,
racing.
Yeah.
So they've just started the American Grand National, which the Irish fella won. Mouse, I can't think of his fucking name now. So the Irish was pissed up the other week at the American National. So they're trying to get horse what like good ground, and my lad likes good ground. So, but they put an offer in which is being fucked off because it's nowhere near the level what he should be. He's a proper tool. He just hated the ground, hated the track.
Yeah, you could tell that on Saturday. As I said, I watched it live. And he struggled on the ground, lad.
No, he couldn't.
Fucking John McCruick here, Jim.
Nah. I mean, look, I'm no fucking expert. Fucking picking.
Watch the race, have you?
No, but you could just tell. You could tell the fact that he wasn't running very fast and the ground was cutting up underneath him. Like,
he hated it. So then I went to Wayne on Monday.
Sorry, Tank, I just got to go back to this plum that you could tell because he wasn't running very fast.
That's what he said.
Brilliant, yeah.
He wasn't running very fast and the ground was cutting up. Like, go faster, lad.
No, you fucking hated
like watching Tank in his prime. Just run faster.
Yeah, so then I went to Wayne Monday morning, early hours Monday, and had my other runner there. Proper fancied him. Couldn't see him get beaten. He duly obliged, to be fair. Nice horse. Bit a big fucking baby, but you know, see where he goes now. I'm not too sure about him.
Tip to yourself.
Decent winnings there, Tank, was it?
Yeah, it was a good day. Tell you what, I had a cracking day and night there, to be fair. Just stayed in a little B&B in there. It's fucking class. And I'm a bit of a snob. I would never look at B&Bs, but I couldn't get anywhere. But fuck me, it was quality. Absolutely quality.
I've seen your tweet, actually. I was wondering, did they pay you to put that out? Because it was like...
No, mate, honestly, just a little tiny B&B, like a man and woman runner, fucking great people.
Sausage
spoke to us, fucking proper nice people, mate. So, I think it was 55 quid or 65 quid or something. Fucking big breakfast, class. Honestly, really nice.
And then it took you a while to get home. What was the problem?
Oh, mate, it's a fucking disaster.
You don't look over it, to be fair.
Mate, try open your eyes, lad. What's up with you?
Listen, these lecky cars, I'm like, I think they should be fucked off. I think them and VAR need to go somewhere together and die. Because
mate, you do know you have a choice in what you drive, right? Like, no one's making you drive an electric car.
But honestly,
you know, when you're that deep with something, you're probably in there now, so you can't go back.
It's just the fucking, honestly, and I'm sure there was some woman, I think this little bitch fucking turned me charger off. I think that's what it was. She was waiting, you see. So I went in, got a coffee.
It was me. Fuck you, Tank.
So I've charged it for a fucking hour, come outside, and they had 37 miles on when it should have had 200. So I was like, what the fuck? I checked, and it wasn't charging. So we had to wait another hour and a half to charge it. And then by the time I was coming home, our Jack phone said, I'm off tomorrow, can you pick me up? So we had to stop on the M6 to charge it, to go and pick him up, to come back to charge it, to get home. Fucking longest day in the world.
Jeez. Top dad you, though, mate, to be fair. Fair play to you.
I know that.
Yeah, because I think people have been sending us messages. Sorry for those that have been waiting for the podcast. Forest and Liverpool, probably the one game that everyone wants us to talk about, and we've not been able to talk about it yet. So we definitely will come to that. Jim, you were busy at work playing golf today, mate.
Busy at work playing golf, mate. Yeah, Forest of Arden, nice course on the championship course. So,
how'd you play?
I was invited by a guy that I networked with. So yeah, mate, it was good. Weather was. I mean, we got pissed down for like 10 minutes. I was close to walking off on the third hole. I was like, fuck this. And then the sun came out, mate. It was boiling hot. It was well nice. And then I was in T-shirts for the rest of it. T-shirt and a sort of gilet thing. So, yeah, good.
Thanks for telling us about your fashion there. I asked, how did you play?
Oh, mate, sorry. Yeah, you know what? I played mint. And the guy I was playing with, another guy who was invited along, he was playing off 9. And I play off 18. But this new handicap rating on courses, it went up to 22. And this guy must be fuming because I scored 39 points, played a fucking blinder. I needed a par on the last par 3 to break 90, which is good on a championship course. And I thought I duffed it, didn't I? Got a 5. So, but one overall, mate. So,
well done, lad. Is it still the rule on golf courses that if you don't hit the ball past the women's tee, you have to get your dick out on the next shot?
I mean,
is that an actual rule? Is that an actual rule?
I mean, it's not written in the PGA rule book, no. But it's one of them. It's one of them unwritten rules that if you don't, you have to say Texas Dangler, innit? Get your dick out.
Get your dick out.
You got to be careful with all of that nowadays, though, lads, because you got fucking transgenders. You got some of them have got dicks, some of them haven't.
Fucking hell, yeah. Russian roulette there, Jesus. And special mention for Jimmy here, for those watching on YouTube, making big moves with his new camera.
Yeah, went and bought a new camera, mate. I was like sick of these laptop cameras, and to be fair, it's more for work purposes because I have 2 screens, and if my camera's on my laptop, I look at this screen, so people think I aren't paying attention. So I bought this to be on this screen, so I'm always looking at this screen. So it's, but I like it, mate. You having it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one. I think.
Fresh as fuck, mate.
Yeah, look fresh.
You look fresh as fuck, and it's dead clear, honestly. I don't know whether you've got
good
makeup on, but you look well.
I was waiting there. I was like, "There's no way Tank is just complimenting Jimmy without something else following up."
Certainly, there's always a backhanded compliment with Tank.
Hey, on a serious note, though, you're the fucking double of that tweet what I've just tweeted.
Jeffrey Garmer.
Fucking Jeremy. Leave Jeremy alone, lad.
Was it Jeremy or Jeffrey?
It's Jeffrey, but Tank called him Jeremy, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Oh, right. Okay. Was it? Did you do another one though, Tank? And maybe I've just got this confused. Did you do Shirley off EastEnders for Jimmy as well? I feel like that's been. That's been.
That's a reach. That's a stretch. Like,
tweeted now.
Back in the day when I had my blonde hair, maybe, but geez.
No, you look better than
Shirley was
especially with that new camera. Right, football, lads. Football. Only really one place for us to start. So I'm going to come to you first, Tank. Jimmy's no doubt at some point going to tell us that he lived and was born in Nottingham, so he's now a Nottingham Forest fan. But before we come to Jimmy, Tank, what was your reaction? Because obviously you've got a foot in both camps. Fair to say, obviously a Liverpool fan, you have deep-rooted affection for Forest, given your time there. You've been a big supporter of Steve Cooper and the work that he's done and been championing him to remain in the job. First of all, whatever for Liverpool, it was a massive win for Forest. I think there was a noticeable change in style. Defensively looked a lot more solid. What was your reaction to the game, first and foremost?
I think he's got to take a lot of credit because after the few results where they've been getting a couple of Ardens, he's gone to a back forward and he just looked more solid. He's made them more difficult to play against, them more difficult to beat. Which, when you're in a battle, that's the right thing to do. He shut up shop basically a little bit. And I thought as I was travelling to Cheltenham and I was watching on my phone, so I watched all the highlights back and everything. And I must be honest, I thought Forest, as a whole in the end, deserved to win. I just thought Liverpool, if you're in that Forest changing room and you see that Liverpool side on the team sheet, that's just a massive, lift. It's kind of like, if I was in that change room, I'd be thinking that they're taking the piss here. And your team talk would be easy. You'd be like, look at these cheeky fuckers playing this side. They've got these on the bench and they're leaving these out. And I just think, I know that Nunes and Thiago had a fucking couple of spuds in his ears. I know that, they were missing. But when you're seeing the likes of Curtis Jones in midfield with Harvey Elliott and Fabinho, and let's get it right, Fabinho is becoming fastly like Jimmy Thiori. He is fucking useless. There is no hiding the fact that he is completely and utterly gone as a footballer.
The legs are gone, mate. He was awful.
Do you know the thing though, Jimmy? It's not just
can't
legs.
move. You can't move.
Yeah, you look at him and you're like, just so if you're in that Forest side and you see that midfield three, you're like, this is fucking brilliant for us. But when watching the game as well, you know that Van Dijk header, I just think I don't think he does that against any other side. I think it's because he's playing Forest, bottom of the league. He's trying to be a smart ass and like square it. Now, if that was Man City at Anfield, he scores that. He heads at a goal and he's trying to score. And I just think they look lethargic and just like thought he could turn up. Yeah, we should have scored a few with set pieces, but you know, you've got to Forest rolled the luck a bit, and they could have scored a couple more towards the end on the counter attack.
Let's not get away from the fact that Alisson made one of the best saves.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say Dean Enson made the save of the day. I thought you were going to say save of the day. Sorry.
Oh no, but like, look, I'm glad in a way that maybe 2 games or 2 days have passed since we were due to talk about this, because there's nothing I hate more than your fake rants that these lads do on YouTube now and all that nonsense. You know, that you think of the Arsenal fan TV, and I felt like I was fuming after this game, so I didn't want to come on and act like a entitled knobhead. So I've calmed down a little bit. So I'll give my 2 pence worth on the game in a minute. But Jim, you know, as a Forest fan, are you now a Leeds fan, a Newcastle fan?
Nottingham born and bred, mate.
That's it. There he is. What did you make of the game? Were you surprised by Liverpool's team selection? Do you think that nearly was? I think when you look at it and you look at some of the youngsters playing, lads that haven't had many minutes, it's nearly there's your team talk done. Put that up on the wall and go out and get them.
No, I mean, let's have it right, mate. That team should be beating Forest on if they're playing to their full capability, regardless of who's playing. You know, they're good players that Liverpool have spent money on. All right, Curtis Jones has come through the system, but you know, Harvey Elliott, Carvalho, they're players that they spent decent money on. So that team should be beating it. Should be beating Forest. Fair play to Forest. They did, as Tank said, they shored up the defence. I don't think this is a turning point for Forest. I think it's a classic case of raising your game, and they'll probably get beat by Fulham at the weekend or wherever they're playing. I've not looked at the fixtures. So I think they've raised their game to one, they know Liverpool are struggling, so they're in half a chance anyway, and 2, that you know, they need to get a result. But I just think Liverpool, they just looked to a man across the pitch. They looked devoid of ideas. And like Tank said, I was looking at Fabinho. He looked like a 45-year-old man who couldn't move, mate. His legs were so like straight and stiff. He ran like you, Jamie.
I was going to say, I know that feeling.
He literally ran like you, like
you
straight
used to
arms,
accuse me of that
straight
for
legs,
years.
like just stiff.
Tin man.
Like, yeah, he just. There was a. I mean, it was towards the end of the game, and I think the ball went down the right hand side towards. It might have been Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he ran across to cover it. And I was like, he's running slower than Tank's horse. I mean, I was like, bloody hell, what's going on here? Like, he was all, but he was bad. Salah went missing. He was non-existent. There was no movement whatsoever from any of the forward players. And I've run out of questions to ask, because what question do you ask next? Like
I've got a few.
Well, yeah. There's been enough questions asked, and I don't want to be that guy. And this is just a question for any Liverpool fan: does any of this fall on Jurgen Klopp or not?
Well, I've got a couple of questions, right, about the performance. So, and it's linked to what you're saying there, Jim, because I come away from that, and you said there, you know, Forest would have fancied themselves. Let's be honest, Liverpool were in a bit of form. Like, but just let me so, like, to be fair, they've turned a corner in theory in terms of the recent results they'd had. They were brilliant against Manchester City, looked like the Liverpool that we all know they can be. The level was very high. They'd strung together some wins back to back. I think it was 3 in a row, whilst not being overly convincing against West Ham. You know, the speed at which games are turned around, you're not going to be a full tilt. It's about getting results, getting in, getting out, job done. They seem to be getting a bit of consistency. I looked at that game, and Tank said it before, something smelt off from the very start. I looked at that midfield and thought, I think the 2 young lads are talented lads. But like Tank said, Fabinho would look like he'd been pulling a fridge for the best part of the season. If you're looking at that and saying, okay, should Henderson not have been starting? If Trent is fit enough, it's not like he's had a huge amount of minutes. Get him on the pitch. Give us a bit of creativity. You've got Thiago out the team, Nunes out the team, Trent out the team. your creativity and chaos, if you will, is out of that team. So it felt like Liverpool were going to struggle when you looked at it. And then, look, you know better than me, mate. Football 101. If Forest are camping on the edge of their box, blocking space, Liverpool have to try and at least run in behind. They have to try and stretch them out, stretch them, get in behind them if they can, move them out of position, get the ball wide, stretch the game. They just can't seem to do the same thing over and over and over again. And you had 3 or 4 lads stood in the same position, all showing to feet. It was a piece of piss for Forest to defend against. And I'll be honest, they looked to catch us on the break and could have scored 2 or 3 more from literally being direct. It was so predictable. It was infuriating.
Yeah. Just on Forest, what I will say about Forest is I do think that the players who they've signed, they've had mass signs, and I think they're starting to gel. So I think we have to give Forest, they've gone, where did they go and drew Brighton away? They drew Brighton away. Mightn't have been great, but listen, a point.
Didn't have a shot on target.
But you've got to stop the rot, though, Jim.
No, you have got to stop the rot.
In the chat, that Forest have had 20% possession, and I was like, yeah, it's 0-0.
Yeah.
It's 0-0.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
To defeat or wins, Forest needed to show some grit, and they've showed it the last 2 or 3 games, and they've come away with 4 points. And let's get it right. No one would have given them a single point at Brighton away or Liverpool at home. Not many out there would have said, yeah, Forest will get 4 points of that.
It's a confidence thing as well, Tank, because we started this podcast. Remember, we were giving Forest credit for the bravery but they weren't getting points, and in fact they were getting hockeyed, and they've gone, right, you know what, this fair play to Steve Cooper, because a lot of managers don't do this. He was quick to say, do you know what, I've got to make a change. He's made a change, and they're getting points on the board. It might not be that, they're going to break records for the type of football that they're playing, but you've got football as a results business. And like you said there, that's 4 points from, let's get this right, Brighton are a good team.
Very
Brighton
good
team. Are a good team.
I mean, Brighton should have won. I mean, I think a lot of credit needs to go to Dean Henderson, because I believe he had 2 worldy games. Like that save for that header was unbelievable, mate. I couldn't believe it. That he managed to claw that out, and I think he made some worldy saves. I didn't see the Brighton game, but I think he made some worldy saves on that as well.
Very well, but listen,
that's what he's there for.
That's what they're there for, and I just think for Forest now, if they can just get a bit of momentum, as you say, like everyone was giving them plaudits. They were superb. They played superb against Tottenham, but it's always small margins. I mean, Forest could be sat here. They should have beat Everton away. They only come away with a point. And I just think if they can just get a little bit of momentum, I mean, the lift what they're going to get for beating Liverpool, it's going to be huge. So I just hope they take that onto it. But just on Liverpool, Jamie, I don't know where you go with Liverpool. I mean, I know we were saying that we were in a bit of form, but was we? We turned up against Man City. That's great. The big boys decided to have a go. Van Dijk come out and decided that he's going to try and show what we all know he can be. Salah was immense. But then you go against West Ham. I thought we were quite
West Ham could have won, to be fair. I thought, especially towards the end of the game.
And the challenge, what Milner done on that, the lad, where he's just about to tap it into an empty net. I mean, that's a goal. And I thought we were quite fortunate to come away with 3 points against West Ham. If we'd have got beat, you'd have gone second half.
Do you know what it is, though, Tank? This comes back to me point I was going to make, right? There's always a fucking injury crisis at Liverpool. Every single season, I feel like something's gone wrong somewhere. Somebody showed a stat, and I'm not going to try and recreate it, but basically it was along the lines of there was a season when Manchester City had played 1 game less than Liverpool, and they had nowhere near the amount of injuries that Liverpool have had. I seen something before. You're looking at that West Ham game, again, Liverpool's creativity. So Thiago goes off at half-time. Nunes, who is just a big ball of madness, went off. And we just looked blunt, completely blunt. And it's no coincidence that with those players missing and Trent missing against Forest, we look blunt again. But my issue more with Liverpool now is, do we need to ask questions around? And Klopp seemed a little bit agitated today when he was saying about injuries. He said against Forest, he's like, well, players were there, but I was told they couldn't play. Yeah. And it's kind of like, ooh, that's a weird comment. So my point here is, why is there always an injury crisis? And to go to Jimmy's point before about Klopp, is there something in A, training methods, B, medical departments, style of play? Is there a shelf life with this? And does it then link, Tank, to something that you've been very vocal about? Without the right recruitment, You can't keep asking the same players to keep doing this. Manchester City play a different style of play. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They keep the ball. It's a lot less, and it's it's not, you're not expending as much energy. It's not full throttle. It's not super high press. They'll keep the ball. They'll work it into the touchline. They'll cut it back. They'll score the same goal 100 times over. But something's gone wrong massively at Liverpool. Behind the scenes, we can't seem to get the best players on the piss. On the piss. I feel like
we're on the piss, lads.
The
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they are on the piss.
But, Tank, we can't get the good players on the pitch for a sustained period of time. Something somewhere has gone wrong. Liverpool's midfield looks leggy as hell. You're relying on Hendo and Thiago to play sustained blocks of games, 3-day turnaround. It's not going to happen, surely.
For me, I'll take on every point that you've just said there. For me, it's down to one thing and one thing only, and it's recruitment. Because if you don't freshen up, we've asked Jordan Henderson, probably Fabinho, to be
we've ran them into the ground. Let's be honest.
The dogs of midfield in there, do all of this work rate and train and play, train as you play as well. Since Klopp's been here for 7 years, and they're still there. They're still there and they're still doing it, and they can't do it no more. Is Hendo 32 now? And when Hendo's not there, we're asking a 36-year-old James Milner to come in. Thiago, for me, the great player what he is, he can't do that. I don't think he can. That's not
really
him.
Fit at Bayern, though, was he? I don't think he played a lot of games.
I don't even think it's that, though, Jim. He can't. He's not that leggy player. So without them doing the legwork.
But from a recruitment point of view, I mean, don't get me wrong. Up until now, it's not been an issue, but he didn't play. I don't think he played that much at Bayern. I think he was injured quite a bit at Bayern,
But I think what we're asking him to do is not what he's great at doing. He should be coming into the Liverpool team and just, getting the likes of Fabinho and Henderson to do all of that work, to get him on the ball, to play in between the lines, to assist the assister. That's, for me, what he was brought in to do. Now we're asking him to try and do what Henderson and Fabinho used to do, but can't do no more. And honestly, mate, it's just the complete and utter lack of investment in that midfield area. And just on one other point, mate, Curtis Jones does not get a game week in, week out at any other Premier League side. Not a chance. He's nowhere near this level. The kid's got nice little touches and flicks and farts. He is not a Premier League footballer. I genuinely don't think he is.
Do you know what? I honestly think with the Curtis Jones one, it's a tough one. He's obviously been out of the limelight for a while. He's obviously been injured. He just doesn't seem to suit Liverpool's style of play, and that he seems to take about 6 or 7 needless touches. It slows it down. It then goes backwards or sideways, and we lose all momentum. And it was a mishmash of youngsters, lads trying to find a bit of form, maybe lads that aren't up to standard. It was just a clusterfuck, to be quite honest. I do want to finish on a couple of things before we move on to the next topic. And look, it's not an easy topic to talk about. There was chants again the stadium. I don't know. I don't know how we put a stop to this. It's not. I have to say, it's not exclusive to Nottingham Forest fans. I'm disappointed to hear that these chants were going on, because the connection that Forest would have.
They were on the other end of it. It could have been them.
I find it mad. But look, Liverpool fans have said things about Munich over the years. United fans, fans just have to be better. I think there's certain things that you just don't need to sing about. You can still take the piss out of teams. It's disappointing though, Jim. No,
look, I can understand. I don't want to say I can understand, but I can see why rival teams will say stupid stuff like that, because they're rivals. It's a deep-breaded hate. Nottingham Forest and Liverpool are poles apart. That there's one's been in the Championship for 20 odd years. Liverpool have been in the Premier League. They were in that situation together. So this is just people doing it just to be dicks. I think they're just doing it just to be an idiot and get that rise out of that. That's the most disappointing thing out of this.
How do you put a stop to it, Tank? And this isn't exclusive to the Hillsborough chat. This is just in general.
No, you can't, because we spoke about this last week. I think it was with the society, when it's And it does start at home. I said to you about that Everton fan with his son, and you're kind of like, what chance have you got? You know, this is not me digging Everton fan. It's just, I just feel this is the type of society what we are. I mean, you look like if someone posts something on social media, the trolls just think that they can say stuff, and you know, like you still get some of the black players who are still getting racially abused if they post an Instagram. It's like, I don't really know how you stop that, because how can you? I don't understand what's in someone's thought process that say if there's a hard post something that you think that it's okay to call them, and you're like, what sort of mentality are you? And I just think it's a society thing. Just going back on the Forest and Liverpool have got a huge rivalry. It goes back to the European Cup days in the league when they were going toe to toe.
You're talking rivalry, and the 30, 40 years ago, mate. Like
the big thing, what pisses Forest fans off, and I thought he was a cock when he done it, and he is a bit of a cock, is when John Aldridge rubbed the head of, I think it was Brian, fucking can't think of the fullback's name now. Anyway.
Whoever that was in there, you're talking 45, 50-year-old blokes. If you're thinking that's 45, 50-year-old blokes seeing them, so this is young lads just doing it just to be knobs.
Yeah, but if you're talking about what Tank said about being bred into people.
Yeah. Honestly, I just think it's society, you know,
I think it is.
It's just the social media gives every fucking idiot a platform, doesn't it?
It does. We'll come back to social media and people being idiots because it's something I want to finish on. Cristiano Ronaldo, lads. So we've spoken about him a lot on this podcast. Jimmy says he's the best player to ever play football. Can't let that one lie. Jimmy, you must have been disappointed in the greatest player to ever play the game when he stormed off and refused to be brought on as a sub in United's last game.
I mean, it's disappointing to see, of course it is. And I thought, you know what? And I was surprised to see Roy Keane, of all people, defending him. I was like, bloody hell, Roy, go ahead, lad. I thought you'd be the first one digging him out. And actually, having heard what Roy Keane was saying, I kind of agree with him, you know. Imagine that you're Ronaldo. Look, I get that he's not in the prime of his life, but don't forget, you know, he's playing against Tottenham. And they played Tottenham last year and he scored a hat-trick. So it's not like, you know, he's playing... Tottenham haven't recruited that much, so they're a completely different outfit. Don't get me wrong, there'll be a different outfit because of the way the shape's changed and whatnot. So that's fine. So I can understand his frustration. And we've all been frustrated. We've all done something where we've gone, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that.
I reckon you've refused to come on as a sub over the years.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have ever refused to come on. But, like, it's just little things like, you know, when you get so angry and, like, I'm not a violent person at all, but I've punched a wall before going, you know what? Because I've got no way of expressing that anger. Like, I can't express it in any other way apart from whatever it is you do. So I think he's just got to a point there where he's just so frustrated and so angry that he's gone, nah, fuck this. I just want to get out. And I think, you know, I'm not using this as an excuse. I think he's had a bereavement quite recently. That, you know, that won't put him in the right frame of mind either. So, you know, I think he's just gone. I'm not getting on. I've not had a sniff anyway. Everyone's come off. What's the point? And I've still got. I think he's. Think about, I've still got something to give as well. He still thinks he's got something to give. So from a frustration point of view, he's probably going, I can do something here. I can help. And he's just walked off. That doesn't mean what he did was right in any way. And he's been adequately punished and he's been brought back into the frame. So I just think he was, you know, got to the straw that broke the camel's back.
Tank, I heard Graham Souness kind of defending Ronaldo in a way, in that he's kind of saying United have treated him a little bit shoddy, to be fair. Someone of you agree, yeah?
110%. I think the only people to blame in this is Manchester United and the manager. I genuinely do. Let's get it right. Ronaldo is one of the greatest players that's ever played football. Without Ronaldo last season, Man United would have been completely and utterly fucked. Did he score 20 goals for them last season? In a fucking awful side. 18 league goals it might have been, I think. No one knows whether he's the same player because he hasn't fucking played. He's not been given a sniff. So he wanted to leave during the summer. He wanted to leave. And we spoke on this podcast and said, let him go.
Let him go.
Let a new manager come in and make a fucking statement to say, look, you're this age and I need legs and a fresh approach, and it'd be great if you just fucked off. And then people would have gone, oh, Ten Hag, fucking hell, he's made a big decision there. Like Klopp did with, was it Benteke?
No, it was Sacco, was it? It was Benteke. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And Pep done it with Gerrard, was just kind of like, yeah, you can't play football, fuck off, gone. England international #1 goalkeeper. Yeah. And it would have been better for Ten Hag. But I just think that Man United have let themselves down. They've let the manager down as well. The manager should have had to set a bollocks to say, I don't want him. And none of this would have happened. Ronaldo must be watching Rashford, who I like as a player, but, you know, he gets a lot of chances, misses a lot of chances.
Sancho
Ronaldo scores more than him. Ronaldo scores more than him in his United side. It could have all been resolved. What he done was wrong, don't get me wrong, but I just think he's getting treated like a fucking third-rate player. You know, have a pair of bollocks, say to him, we're not going to use you. Fuck off on a free transfer. Thanks for last season. Job done.
And when you look at it as well, it was the perfect time in that Ronaldo saves face, in that he came into the Premier League at that age, absolutely ripped it up, can sail off if it's not part of his project. And look, you can't really blame Ronaldo in that United is now a project. I think Eric Ten Hag is obviously starting to put his imprint on the team. Cristiano Ronaldo is not a long-term part of his plan. It's clear to see that. So why not let him go? His stock is still high. He scored a shitload of goals. He wants to be playing in the Champions League until he physically can't do it anymore. Let him go and join a team. Whereas now, I know what Graham Souness is meaning. You're leaving him sat there on the bench. And it's not because he can't do it. It's probably because he doesn't fit the style of play that Ten Hag wants to play. If you put a one-on-one chance, Cristiano Ronaldo through, or any of the front players that have been playing for United, you're backing Ronaldo. But Ronaldo isn't going to go and press for you. So if it's a victim of circumstance and style of play, he would have known this. So let him go. It didn't have to be this way. It just seems like a big mess that could have been avoided, to be honest.
And I think it's killing them that Messi scored 11 goals and 11 assists, and they still aren't showing him down the fucking line.
Yeah, no. Mate, did you see that defending last night? Maccabi Hafi or whatever they're called, mate. They may as well be farmers. They were awful. Shit,
is this the hill? Is this the hill you want to die on?
Nah. Don't get me wrong, mate. I'm not. I think you've taken one thing from another. Like,
no, we haven't.
Explain
maybe your words.
The showing down the line was all tongue in cheek, isn't it? My point is,
you can shove the mic right down your mouth.
No. But my point is, this is the debate is, who do you prefer? Because the numbers are the numbers. The numbers are phenomenal. It's who do you prefer? I just prefer Ronaldo.
Okay.
My preference.
So are you going back on what you said about Messi
No.
or just...
I still think like
don't. That's your problem. Don't. Where are you going with this now?
Getting down the line, like show him on his right foot.
For fuck's sake. Steven Gerrard got sacked. I don't think that this is. I don't think it was a shock. Look, Steven Gerrard's been my hero over the years. I think it was the right decision, all things considered. It looked to me, Tank, like a team had thrown in the towel. They weren't playing for him for whatever reason. I didn't like the chance, to be honest, as Gerrard was walking off. I think Carragher said something similar on Monday Night Football. You can vent your frustration, absolutely be pissed off. You've made a big trip to Fulham, midweek game, I think it was. You're absolutely right to boo and vent your frustration. But some of the chants that were going at him, I thought were needlessly harsh. Going back to stuff we said at the start, it seems like people just there's no hold bar, no what is it? No holds barred. That'll do. At the moment when it comes to chanting, were you surprised to see him get the boot, Tank?
No, I wasn't, to be fair. And the chants were harsh, but this is what we're talking about. The society, it's like people just think they can say what the fuck they want to say and not be held accountable for it. So it's the world we live in, unfortunately, at the minute. The chants were poor, but he's had a disaster not just this season, it's going back the last half of last season, and it's been a bit of a shit show. I thought he would have done okay this season. I thought he made some decent signings, and I think he's been extremely unlucky because his big money signing centre half snaps his Achilles and is out for the season. And the lad they got from France, I can't think of his name.
Kamara, is it?
Really good player.
Is it Kamara?
He does his knee and he's fucked. So it was two big signings. are out the side, and I think he's been let down considerably by the likes of Coutinho, who's come in, and I've got to be honest, I think Coutinho looks like he's come in just for the last payday and the fucking smoking a spliff and just relaxing. I think he's been disgraceful, Coutinho. He showed little glimpses here and there, but
when he first came, he was good, wasn't he? But
yeah, but that was on loan, Jimmy, wasn't it? So
yeah,
when he
3 or
came
4 games,
permanently, it's kind of like he's gone, oh, you know, job done, couple of 3-year deal, no issues at all, get my feet up now. And then when you see the results at the weekend, I
that would have stung.
That's going to hurt, you know.
Yeah.
But I said this on a podcast a long time ago. I think the dressing room's been turning against him, and I think Tyrone Mings has had a big part of what was going on under Gerrard there.
I was going to say that feels like that was a bit of, not a culture war, but it was, you know what I mean, Gerrard. And let's get this right here. Look, I'm an outsider looking in, so I don't mean to proclaim to be any type of expert on Aston Villa, but whenever I seem to watch him, Tyrone Mings throws in absolute clangers. Yeah. So, like, you know, you're looking at Steven Gerrard's decision. It seemed like it was obviously a meeting of minds, and it was a battle, you know, alpha versus alpha battle, and Gerrard wasn't prepared to back down. He brought McGinn in, picked him as own captain. It seemed like that was a risky move from Gerrard, and Jim, looks like it potentially backfired.
Well, McGinn, he takes him off every game, doesn't he? And that's his captain. If you watch how many games John McGinn gets brought off.
He's been shit since he appointed him as captain. That's the problem.
He's let him down. No, I get that. But you don't. How often do you see captains being brought off? Like it's few and far between. Every time I see John McGinn, he's getting dragged off after 65 minutes, and that's who he's made captain. So I think he's made some awful decisions in the process of coming to this. But I think and again, outside of looking in, I think elite players struggle to manage non-elite footballers. Yeah. I think they don't understand why they can't do what they were able to do.
Do you know what's a huge loss, Jimmy? Like a massive loss. And I know all about this lad's background. Michael Beale. Michael Beale is a phenomenal.
Oh, mate, of course coach. He is. There's a reason why he's taken QPR to the top of the top of the championship. So when he's probably got that, you know, that knowledge of the inner workings of players, whereas Gerrard is very much high level tactical. This is where you move. This is what you do. But when it comes to that nitty gritty, Gerrard will struggle with that because he'll be going, why can't you play that ball that I can easily play? And that's where elite players really struggle. And that's why I think there's so few elite managers that were elite players. You know,
is it probably? I'm just trying to think. Is it Zidane? Zidane's the one that jumps off my head where he's been massively successful.
But he wasn't. You know, he won a few Champions League. He didn't win. You know, he wasn't. He was successful. Mourinho, was he? Whereas, you know, Mourinho didn't play football. Klopp played a bit. You know, League 2 in Germany or whatever. He wasn't. They see the inner workings of players and see that on a daily basis, where elite players struggle to manage players that can't do what they do.
There has been a theme of this, Tank. I know it was definitely something that was thrown at Roy Keane. He struggled. I see in an interview about Thierry Henry recently where I can't remember who he was managing, but he was trying to.
Monaco.
I think it was. No, actually, I think it was Bradley Wright Phillips was talking about. It must have been Red Bulls when he managed.
When he was in training.
Yeah, and he was trying to explain. He wanted them to play through a press, and it was a tight area or something, and the lads couldn't get out or something. And Henry was like, "You can get out. There's enough space." And the players were like, "There's not enough space." And he went, "Give me the fucking ball." He went and stood in the space. They fired it into him. He did the drop of the shoulder, a couple of fucking jinks away, and then pinged it. And he said, "I told you, there's the space." So I think there is something in that, Jimmy. I think there was something similar with Glenn Hoddle over the years where he was trying to explain a finishing drill to some of his strikers and they couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Give me the ball." He took a touch, he pinged it into the far top corner. He's like, "That's how you do it." In your experience over the years, have you ever come up against something similar in that, you know, these elite players that have looked to make the transition, whether it's into coaching or management, have struggled? Do you think there's something in that?
I've never really come across, like, you know, where in the elite players manage me, but I just feel that there probably is something in it. You know, I know I've read the Roy Keane's books now, and I know that he struggles to do it, you know, because but I'm not too sure that was the case with Gerrard. You know, Gerrard had good, some top players at Aston Villa. I honestly think it's all down to Michael Beale. Michael Beale is a tactical genius. I mean, I bought one of his books and like his training and his drills, and they're out of this world, and they're just so like simple and
I'll have to get that off
game related. They're absolutely out of this world, and I think that is 90% of Gerrard's problem. Is he's lost his main man. He was a big part. He'd done a lot of the coaching, by the way, and he was the man on the grass.
Do you mean audio book, mate? Because there's no way you can read.
It's pictures, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, last topic. Newcastle United, right? I think Eddie Howe's doing a great job there. There's been a lot of talk, particularly off the back of the Spurs results, of how well Newcastle are doing. Are they top 4 contenders? I have to say, I think all of that is true. I think they are top 4 contenders. I think they look a proper team. They're hungry. I think they look clearly well coached. They're good on the break. There's intensity, everything that Liverpool lack. Ultimately, Newcastle seem to have at the moment. But, Jim, let's get this right. This is not some fucking fairy tale story here. They've spent 201 million to build this team. And if you look at the players that have come in and are making the biggest impact, these are all the new signings that they brought in. Do you have to Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's turned a corner. He's and don't get me wrong, I think Eddie Howe is a good coach, and he will develop and has clearly developed some of those players. But I think the way this is being perceived of like, David versus Goliath and Newcastle breaking into that top 4, it's certainly not one of them stories.
I don't know, I don't want to sound smug, but I did say on the predictions that
He
Newcastle
always does this, by the way. He always does this.
I didn't want to. I mean, I don't want to put anything on Tank, but
Jim, do you remember that time?
His Wolves shout is not very. His Wolves shout in the top.
Did you say Wolves at the start of the season, Tank?
Yeah, I said Wolves top 6. I went back and listened because I was like,
hold on, Jim. Let's get one thing right. You digging out Tank here. I'm going to dig out you. You said the way to stop the greatest player that ever lived is to show him down the line.
That's anyone, mate. That's not just Messi. That's anyone.
No matter what Jimmy says, that's the comeback. Show him down the line.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Show him down the line.
But from a Newcastle point of view, mate, I think because although they've spent money, they've not. It's because they never spent money before where that's the difference. Because they've always had money. They've had billionaire owners for the last however many years. He's just never spent anything. So I get what you're saying. They've got a lot of money, but they've not yet. And this is the worry.
201 million is a lot of money, irrespective.
It's a lot of money, but not in Premier League. Not in Premier League. Man United.
I think that was the most that had been spent in the window. I think I'm right on.
Chelsea spent close to 300, didn't he?
Chelsea. Man City, Liverpool themselves, people spend money. It's just because Newcastle haven't been used to spending money and they've never spent money. In this day and age, 200 million for a Premier League club is not that. It's a drop in the ocean. But the thing is, to Newcastle, it's literally a drop in the ocean. Their owners are worth 320 billion. So you've not even seen them starting to spend yet. And it's the way they've spent, actually, that's probably different to the Man City, because Man City's first ever signing was Robinho, and like they just spunked all the money up, and he spunked. Whereas Newcastle had thought about it, they've been offered players that they could have bought, turned them down, and they've bought smart. Gomes is an absolute steal. Dan Burn's been their second best player, and he's from bloody I think Brighton they signed him.
Brighton, yeah.
Almiron's been switched on to a world-class player and he was getting the piss taken out of him by Jack Grealish. Alan St. Maximin's always injured, but even when he's not there, Joe Linton was a laughing stock, and Eddie Howe's got him into a world-class player. If he doesn't go to the World Cup for Brazil, there's something wrong. So I get what he's saying. Yes, they spent money, but they spent it really wisely on players that add depth and will continue to improve. They haven't just gone and bought a Neymar or a Ronaldo, because Newcastle probably one of the only clubs in the world that can afford Ronaldo's wages, and it'd be a great commercial decision, but they haven't gone and done that, and it's slowly building blocks. Now, don't get me wrong, when they're starting to spunk 500 million up the wall on players, because it'll happen, that tide will turn. you'll find a different answer to to your question. But at the minute, I think they've spent really wisely. Eddie Howe's doing a great job. He was, when he got appointed, he was ridiculed for what he did at Bournemouth and taking them down and stuff. So fair play to him. I'm really pleased for him. I think and I think they're playing some great football. And Almiron, oh my God, how good does he look at the minute?
He still looks like a 12-year-old boy.
Oh, mate, he looks weird, funny. Like, he's got a weird-looking face.
Tank. Go on, Jim.
No, I was going to say something rude.
Wait, it's not like you, lad. Tank, where do you sit on this? Because is a lot of... Obviously, we can't ignore the backstory of where the money is coming from.
Oh, that's
I think Klopp, in his comments about Manchester City, PSG, and Newcastle, has opened up a conversation that needed to be had, but a lot of people don't seem to want to have that conversation. Is what holding a lot of people back in terms of giving maybe Newcastle the credit that they deserve in terms of how they've been performing this season? Where do you sit on it?
Yeah, just on Klopp's comments. I mean, Klopp was provoking up. The reporters are asking, aren't they? Because I sense a bit of frustration in Klopp stuff that he can't spend any money at all because of the owners. And I think,
sorry, mate, but FSG aren't fucking poor, are they? Let's be honest.
It doesn't matter. They won't spend money, Jimmy.
I know. I get that. What my point is that's their decision not to. Whereas
they don't
Newcastle
spend any of their own money. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They will not spend their own money. I sent you an article from the Daily Mail. It was a Billy Hogan, the new CEO, and he was saying it won't be a disaster if Liverpool don't finish in the top 4 this season. We've got an unbelievable stadium. We're getting this built. And fuck the stadium, fuck the training ground, buy some fresh blood. And I think that's a... But going back to Newcastle, I think that Eddie Howe should be getting so much more credit than what he actually is. Because, yes, they've made some good signings, but as Jimmy said there, it's what he's done with the players who were there. Yeah. It's what he's done with them. He's turned these players round to fucking... Almiron was a laughingstock.
He was awful.
He was awful. Now, he looks at stages at the minute like unplayable. And I just think they get a lot of credit. And I don't think that... Look, 200 million is a lot of money to spend. It's a hell of a lot of money to spend. It is, but it's not as if they've gone out and they got the kid from Atletico Bilbao who, a lot's looked at him and kind of he's a rough diamond, and they've just kind of... He's not even in the side at the minute. I know he's being out injured, but they've got Callum Wilson, who we've always said in this podcast, Jamie, going back years ago, I'd have took him at Liverpool.
Yeah, he's a player.
I think they got him for about £10 million, and Eddie Howe knows him from his Bournemouth days. I just think that they're going to be a big problem in the Premier League. They'll be challenging for the Premier League in the next...
Look at Sean Longstaff, mate. They're in the top 4 with Sean Longstaff in the centre mid. I'm not saying he's all, but you wouldn't expect that, would you? That's what he's got out of him.
But it's good you say that the Longstaff thing. Because I seen a stat the other day they were talking about something I'm reading up on a lot at the moment is this idea of packing, right? So packing, you've probably seen it, Tank, where it's basically... Yeah, I was waiting for that comment. You did. Packing is basically when you play a pass, how many players can you beat with that pass? So if you play it through the lines and you take out in essence 4 or 5 players, you've got a packing score of 4 or 5. I might have phrased that wrong, but Sean Longstaff is actually one of the most progressive passers when you're looking at those type of passes that go through the lines, that take multiple people out. And, he's a young talent that Eddie Howe is getting the most out of. So I do think absolutely credit where credit's due. I think he's getting the most out of a lot of players that maybe a lot of people didn't think that he would get the most out of. And that is testament to his coaching style. I'm very much like you, Tank. I don't think Newcastle are going anywhere. I looked at the way it actually goes back to when they came to Anfield. They were very good that night. And every single time they broke, I was like, holy shit, the hunger, the desire, they're buying what the manager is selling. Everybody is bought into that direction that the club is going. So I think, I think we better get used to seeing Newcastle in around the top of the table. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Jimmy, Tank, we're at the 45-minute mark. What's the plan for the week, lads? Jim, you got much on?
No, mate. Half term over here. I don't know if is it half term for you? Is it next week? Yeah, so it's half term this week. So no matches. We're obviously at Liverpool last week. I think we got Scunthorpe away on Sunday, mate. Mate, what a trek that is. So I think we're going to go up to see got some family and Colin and Julia and they're in Hull, so we're going to go stay with them Saturday and see them, and then travel to Scunthorpe on Sunday morning, which isn't far from them. So
the life of a soccer dad,
mate. That's all it is, mate. Just fucking. I'm a taxi. That's all I am. I'm a bloody taxi.
Talking of taxis, Tank's taxis. You've been doing that for Jack. What have you got on for the rest of the week, mate?
Well, he started his first game on Saturday of the season after a long battle with a few injuries, so he was superb. To be fair, I watched it on Hull today, so he's back fit. Trying to convince the Dragon to take him back to Burnley tonight so I can watch the Liverpool game. And then I think he's playing somewhere in London on the weekend, so I'll be down there watching him.
Nice. And now that first game back, is he centre mid? Is he?
Yeah, he done really well, mate. Honestly, I watched him back, and he played the little holding midfield there, popping a few nice balls about. He's got.
Seen a few young lads from Burnley go out on loan. Tank, is he any chance of that?
No, he's only 16, mate.
These were young lads. I mean, they might be second year solid, but
yeah, a lad called Joe McGlynn. I've seen it come up to before. To be honest with you, on Twitter, I can't think where they're going on loan. But the other
going like non-league, decent non-league teams.
Yeah. They've got Paddy. They send a couple on there, a couple of the real young ones on loan there, because it's a nice setup. And these play cup games with Paddy and Burnley's like under 16s and that.
Yeah.
So they normally send them to there because they play good football. They try and play the right way, and you can just keep an eye on them. It's literally 2-minute drive from the training ground.
Will that be next year?
I have to start calling you Little Tank. He's an absolute unit, isn't he?
Oh, mate, he is. Yeah, he is.
It's a good job all your kids have got your wife's looks as well, mate.
Well,
Lads.
Someone like yourself, Jim, should never comment on looks, mate.
I was waiting for the comeback. Right, lads, that's enough from us for this week. It's a pleasure, as always. Tank, you're not going to be leaving us next week, so we'll be back to our usual Monday slot.
No horses running so far,
no
mate.
Horses running, so we're good.
Could change.
Jim, you're not golfing or anything on Monday, no?
Just trying to think, mate. I don't think so.
Check that busy schedule of yours,
Check
lad.
out Sky, mate. I'm a busy man. Got business to be doing. Insurance doesn't sleep, lad.
Jesus. Right, with that, lads, pleasure as always to everybody that has been waiting for the podcast. We apologise. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what your thoughts were on the show, whether you agreed with the lads' points, didn't agree, what you'd like to see us do more of. As always, keep your feedback coming. We love hearing it each week. If you haven't, I know I say this at the end of every podcast, but if you could do this for us, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel or just send the podcast to one of your mates. It is great to see that the numbers are growing each week, and we want to keep it going that way. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, I don't think we're there yet. I think we're about 100 away. We're going to start testing live shows on YouTube, which could be an absolute nightmare with these two, to be fair. So we might only do one.
Tank's subdued this week, mate. He needs
tired,
he
mate.
He needs a monster in him, doesn't he, or something?
Tired, mate, honestly.
He's knackered. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe on YouTube, and hopefully we'll get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and then we can start doing some live shows. But more importantly, I hope you have a fantastic remainder of your week, and we will be back with you again, hopefully, next Monday on the Boot Room Podcast. All the best.
Boys.
Cheers, lads.